everybody, welcome to my coloring channel. Today I am going to go over all of the different coloring pages I have colored in the fall. So for me that's going to be the months of September, October, and November. It's going to be just a quarterly review of everything that I have colored. Sorry for the noise in the background, my cats are going crazy. So the first book that I want to show you is Worlds Within Worlds by Kerby Rosanes. This is my favorite of his books, and I have colored quite a few in these already. However, in the past 3 months, I've only managed to get through 2. So one of the ones I want to show you is this Haunted Tortoise House. And I really enjoyed doing this for October for just that Halloween theme. And part of it was because I used some new techniques. I tried out using an ink background, so using iZink inks with a little applicator, and I had a Derwent Inktense base on the tortoise and then covered that with the Prismacolor pencils. And this is all Prismacolor pencils over here with some white acrylic paint pens to help with the lightning. So it was really, really fun to do to give this nice, eerie, spooky vibe in preparation for Halloween. Another one that I had done earlier is this one here. I did this one in September, and it was my first attempt at doing just like a nice bouquet background. So you can see it just had some colored dots with like the whites and then the yellow chartreuse, the chartreuse, and the dark green. Prismacolor pencils only for the entirety of this, and it was really, really calming to do as well. Really enjoyed doing this, listening to an audiobook. And the inside circle here, I made it a night theme. Added in just like a little light shine around the moon, so that this is just like a really, really nice day and night contrast between these two different works. However, that is it for what I have with Worlds Within Worlds. For the next season, the winter season, which will be December, January, and February, I'll try to do a few more because I would really love to have this whole book completed. And I have quite a few done, but quite a few left to go as well. The next one I want to look at is coming in with Johanna Basford. And this is the second book with the World of Flowers by Johanna Basford. And so the first one to kind of show you over here has a bit more of a Christmas theme to it. And I was finishing up a work in progress with this. Originally, I had wanted an idea of what if I could have white flowers that are just outlined in gold. That was the first time I had a gold paint pen, so practicing with that. And then, sorry, it's a jelly roll pen. But it was the first time I was trying to use metallics in coloring books, and so I wanted this like simpler effect where like the gold would be outlining the flowers with some primary colors in the background, but I added more dots to it to give it more of like a snowy, wintry feel. I tried adding some shading, but then I don't think this works as effectively because this would work if it was just like a smooth surface, but it's kind of like a smooth surface with glass decoupaged on top, so it didn't really quite work out that way. But I wanted to turn these flowers into Christmas tree ornaments, and so that's what I had done on this particular page. The next thing that I had completed is this flower page as well. And so I was using a color cube for this from Sarah Renee's Color Cube, and I wanted it to kind of match the flaps because it's the same design of the flaps but be a bit different. So whereas over here I had used a light peach in the background, over here I wanted it to be just really nice and burnished, and I used the salmon pink in the background with a Ohuhu water marker underlay. And so that's kind of how I got it to be so shiny with its effect over there. But that's it. So 2 works from here, and now I'm up to 4 different completed pages. Next, I wanted to show the Creative Haven Country Charm, and I wanted to do a nice fall theme in like end of October, early November. And so I picked as many pages as I could from here that could be colored using a fall color palette of really nice oranges and reds and dark greens. And so I did all of these using Ohuhu alcohol marker because they're single-sided. And I have a video of this up as well. So here is the first one that I have done. It was really, really fun to try to get this water effect, leave that nice and pale. And I was using the same markers for all of them so that they could stay within that same color palette, but showing how if you emphasize one color over another, it creates like a different vibe. Kind of like this here, it was just some green in the background, but over here was just major pop of that same green. And this was more of like a, I guess this is more of a summer done a fall, but it was a work in progress that I had that I wanted to complete because I want to complete most of my works in progress. I don't really like having too many works in progress lying around with my coloring books. The next one that I had done, and I did all of these in the course of like 1 to 2 days, by the way. With alcohol inks, they can go really, really quickly. Is this one over here. Again, just nice cozy fall palette, just breaking out your winter coat before the too many leaves fall to the ground. And the last one is this one over here, and this one's more of a later fall palette, coming in with our Halloween pumpkins. So maybe like, I'm guessing around October if you would have that, but honestly maybe even November if they already have the Christmas wreath up. But it's just kind of fun to show an interseasonal page as well. And so that's it with Colorful Country Charm, the coloring book by Teresa Goodridge. I think I said Teresa Savage earlier. I know someone whose name is Teresa Savage and it rhymes with Teresa Goodridge, so I get their names messed up all the time. I apologize if I did that. All right, and then the fourth book is this one over here. So I'm up to 8 works in progress, so I have a few more from in here. And this is Rooms of Wonder by Johanna Basford. It's, I think, my favorite of her books. It is at least the one that I've colored in the most out of all her books. For the winter season, I'll be doing some more of her Christmas ones. I don't think I have any done in her Christmas book, so it'll be interesting to start that one as well. But this was a fun project, and I kind of wish I recorded more of it. It's honestly a bit hard to record while you color because I can't use my phone if I do that. But part of what made this really fun to do was I gave myself 2 challenges. Challenge number 1, I had to use every single Prismacolor pencil. And that is because I realized that after a year and a half of owning these pencils, there's some colors that I've never even touched. And so it's just a good way to familiarize myself with all of those different colors to make sure that I was really using the set to its full potential and not just limiting it to certain colors from the set. It's the only coloring pencil set I have beyond the Derwent Inktense. So I guess it's the only like traditional coloring pencil, and then the Derwent are my water-based coloring pencils. And so I just really wanted to, I guess, like reestablish my relationship with it to kind of get that going. And this is such a fun way of doing it with these. The second challenge that I had was to use more color combinations so I can, again, like better understand and relearn these pencils. And so I used Color with Claire's color combos chart that she has for free on her Ko-fi store very generously. And I made it a challenge where I had to use every single one of her color combos as well. And so that just helped me do this busy page in a really fun way. Because I know that otherwise I would be a bit bored or a bit frustrated or a bit repetitive with some of these elements, and there's so many miniature elements here. But it was really a fun challenge to kind of find out how many different kinds of browns could I do, or if I have, for example, like this really cool color combo, what element could I put it on, and I decided on that. Just kind of like things like that to help me explore all these different ones. I also added in the floor myself, so I decided that the vanishing point was kind of in the center for this one, and that the floor background is here, kind of like in line with here. And then from there, I just drew the same center line, and keeping them like 1 inch apart, I spaced it out, and so that way you kind of get the angles coming in. And then when I was looking at my floor, I noticed that like between the wall and the floor, there's always this like wall panel. So I added in that wall panel there. And then I did the same thing over here, but then they don't meet properly. So if I had imagined this as like a single room, I guess my vanishing point would have been there and everything would have gone out from there. But I don't know, that would have been kind of weird if you have a vanishing point there, because then these would have been super, super angular, those planks coming in. But it was fun to apply what I learned from my attempts to draw, which I'm not good at drawing. I'm just very, very mediocre at it, but I am a learner, so to use positive words, I am attempting to better my skills with drawing and creating my own lines. And so it was kind of affirming that the YouTube like education that I have with 1 point perspective and the practice that I did with 1 point perspective, I actually applied to something and it worked and it looked nice. So it just encouraged me to keep going, that even if, you know, when I'm drawing, it's messy, it's ugly, it looks like, in my opinion, right, my negative voice tells me a 5-year-old could do better. But the reality is, it doesn't matter if a random 5-year-old could do it better. The point is, I am learning and I'm having fun while I do it, and practice is the only way to learn how to do it and be better than that imaginary 5-year-old. And so it was just really affirming that I managed to successfully incorporate 1-point perspective line drawing to include a 4 in the coloring book. It just made me feel a lot better and more motivated to keep learning how to draw, because it has application, which is nice. Sorry, that's a long talk. All right, so this next one here was probably my most frustrating page, and this took me months to complete. And that's in part because this middle, like, I mean, part of this is slightly inspired from my colorful country life. I did my own water, I did my own colors here and there, but the two things that I borrowed from her color along was the sand over here. I guess 3 things. The using all 3 different colors for the stones, and then this really beautiful brass work. And so when, you know, you use the pencils, you make the brass, it's really cool. But she has a few cheats. She uses her her Gelly Roll Stardusts in these thinner lines. So she just like blocks that out with that pen. But for me, I used the pencils in them, which meant I had to shade and create dimension with all of these tiny lines, even these little dots, even this little thing, even that little thing. And it just like, oh my God, it took forever, because it's not just coloring. You have to have like 5 different colors in a single section over there. And it took a while. And then you have to think about lighting and does it match everything else? And it took so long, but I'm glad I did it, because like, how cool is this? I mean, I think this is my favorite section of it. Like, it just looks so shiny. Like, you have the light there, you have the light there. For some random reason, I decided to go that way for these guys, so those are like on the side. But it was just really, really, really fun to do. And, well, not fun. I just said I hated doing it because it took forever, but it was also fun. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we're masochists and we just push through even though we're frustrated, and then we just love the end effect, and that makes you want to keep pushing through to finish it. So I finished it. It took forever. Derwent Inktense of the water, and then Prismacolor for everything else, since, as I've mentioned, those are the only 2 materials that I currently own. Okay. Oh, and I added glasses. I wanted him to look smart, so I added glasses. He's a cutie. And then moving on to the next one, Wallpaper Room, the second most frustrating book that I've done. You can see I have a lot of frustration in this particular book. Again, it's because there's so many tiny lines, like there's so thin lines here, and Prismacolor pencils, they're so mushy, but then you have to get this blended, so I can't just use a single color, I have to use multiple colors to make it look more dimensional, more real. Like, you can see I have like 8 different colors in this thing. Like, altogether, I think like 4 of these and at least 3 of those. So between 8 to 10 pencils just to do this 2-color thing. It just took a lot of pencils to get the dimension. Not to mention the white gel pen that he had to put over everything else on top. And then this one here, don't get me started on the background, because, you know, you think it's cool. I'm just going to do this really pretty wallpaper room with this nice teal background. And then you realize that you have to get this teal blue in all of these nooks and crannies without accidentally going over everything else. And then you do it and you realize it's all too dark. And then you have to outline everything in a white paint pen, which now starts to turn blue because of the background. It took a long time. Like, it looks simple. It's just the repeated pattern, but this just took forever because of all of these small little nitpicky issues I had just getting this color into the detail accurately without going quickly. Another thing too is that for the background, I used the Ohuhu water-based pen for a base, and no, sorry. I used a Derwent Inktense, the iron green. And so you can imagine how long that took to keep sharpening the pencil so that it doesn't smudge to get it into the tiny lines. And then on top of that, I used the Ohuhu water-based pen to get it nice and black, because actually that's kind of what I did. Sorry, I'm pulling this up again. That's what I did over here with this one. Is I saw online somewhere that you can create this like beautiful, smooth, matte black by first putting down a layer of Derwent Inktense, and then on top of that using a black water-based marker. And so I tried to do the same over here, and yet for some reason it just came across streaky, probably because like I had to go here and then there and then into all the corners, so I couldn't just like get a smooth single application. And so it's not as smooth as I wanted it to be. And I began on this side, which you can see is much smoother, to do a third layer of putting, I think it's the Peacock Green, the Prismacolor pencil on top of it. And I did this corner in the Prismacolor pencil, and then it started to like smush a tiny bit into the pinks, and it was looking a bit smudgy, and it was also taking forever, and it's my third layer, so I gave up. Now I'm looking at it, you know, it actually does kind of look a lot nicer with the Prismacolor overlay on top with the third layer of that same color. But, you know, only if you look closely, you can see that that's slightly better than this, and I'm not bothered to fix it. Also, I couldn't get the Ohuhu water-based marker. It started to like clam up. So into like all of these little corners, I ended up using a Staedtler fine liner in the same color to get it into the corners. So it was a long process. And then when it came to this side, I was like, do I want to bring this teal to this side to keep them even and just have this really beautiful teal effect on both? And then I decided, you know, it could be nice to have two different like swatch cards for the wallpaper, like the white version and the teal version. That was my excuse for, I guess, being lazy and not doing that here. But I guess it does look cool, right? Like this could have been my wallpaper, just like only this guy here. But I guess I have two. And so that's the wallpaper for that particular section. All right, and then one more wallpaper that I did was this monstrosity. I'm sorry, I know it's very, very bright green. So, I mean, sure, some of you might love it. It reminds me, I do like it actually. It's a very different style. I do like it. It reminds me a tiny bit of like, I guess like vinyl party tablecloths. Just in terms of just how shiny and like just like unshaded perfect finishes. And so for this one, I had used, again, trying to use more materials, water-based markers as my alternative to Derwent Inktense. So those three different materials I'm trying to use have a really nice, beautiful pastel, light sage green background. And being a marker, it's streaky, so then I used a pencil overlay, but the closest color I could find was spring green, and then I tried it in a corner, and then I was like, oh crap, I now have to commit to the whole thing being spring green, because you can't put a lighter color on top of it to get rid of it without it looking smudging. So then I took a deep breath, and I committed, so I turned it from this nice pale sage green into this vibrant, you know, the spring green color from the Prismacolor set, and used up a quarter of the pencil to just get this nice lay down. But it's pretty, it's shiny. And so then once I had the background down, I was like, all right, what am I gonna do with the flowers? And I decided that I didn't want it to be too shaded, because you have this like, this almost, this vinyl, this very synthetic green background. You can't on top of that just put this beautiful shading in. So I decided, all right, I'm going solid colors for everything. And if I'm really committing, I gotta commit. So pulled out the hot pink marker, pulled out the purple marker, pulled out the yellow marker. My version of shading was to add a bit of like an orangey color to both ends, so that it's not just a clump of yellow. And that was it. This was my piece. It was actually fun to do. It took a long time. Sorry, it did not take a long time to do. It was really quick. And it's something I would never have chosen to do. But I think that the colors actually suit the design. And I don't know. It grows on me. It grows on you too, hopefully. But I hated it at first, but now I kind of love it. It's out there, but it's cool. It's just so green. All right, that's it for Rooms of Wonder. I did not count how many I showed you in here. Some number. I'll count at the end. I'll put a little number thing. Final book number 5 is Meine, Reise, durch, Afrika by Rita Berman. Yes, I mispronounced that. No, I do not speak German more than 1, 2, 3 and hello. And so this book here, I fell into the hype, you know, you watch all these YouTube videos and you're like, oh, that's cool, I want to get that book too. So I did not buy a lot of the other hype books because, you know, gotta control my budget, but I did end up getting this one because it looked really cool, and I did 2 ones from here. So the first one is here, the Pharaoh, and because the Pharaoh is in real life has blue and gold, I made him blue and gold, and what's her name? Barbara Color has a really beautiful color along from the same author, but the Asia book, not the Africa book, and it's with like an eagle. And so I liked the idea of having just like this gold coin sun halo with this like dark blue. And then I wasn't sure what to do with the hieroglyphics, so I just made it like stone colored. So it's slightly clashy, but it's still, you know, your yellowy orange versus like your dark blues kind of vibe. So that's what I did for this one. It was really fun, easy to do, fairly quick. Again, Derwent background with a Prismacolor overlay. Almost messed it up using too much water on my brush, but it survived. The bleed through survived. It's alive. And since I haven't really had too many, like, actually I don't think I have any only Derwent Inktense colors, I decided that for this one, this is the one I actually just finished today, so into December, but no one's counting. I wanted this to be an only Derwent Inktense, and I bought the new 28 colors. I'm really glad I did because they really were the missing colors. I would say that like around 60% of these are some of those new pencils that I used, like the Malibu and the Flamingo and the, what's the yellow called? This thing. Lime green. It was just such beautiful, beautiful colors to do. And I'm now more encouraged to do only Derwent Inktense pencils. Normally I don't like not having the burnish sheen. Like I love having this shine to it, right? Like the glow and the reflection and the intensity. But just the delicacy of this has made me so happy. And it just, you know, I love these pinks. And I'm not usually a pastel person, but this just makes me so happy. It took forever to figure out where to put the colors without overwhelming it, and I kept in some white. As you can see, I do a terrible job keeping any white in, and so I wanted to keep some white in to practice that as well. But yeah, this is my final piece. So that's it. Those are my colors. So my Reise, durch, Afrika, I have 2 in there. I have to count. Does this count as 1 as 2? I'm gonna say 2 so I feel cooler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh goodness, 9, 10. Yeah. So there's 10, and then we said 2 here. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yes, 18 different pages colored in the past 3 months, which for me is great. Normally it takes me like 1 month to do 1 page, so the fact that I did 18 in 3 months is pretty amazing. Picking up the pace here, picking up the pace. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will try to post more videos more often, and I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day as we begin the winter season. Bye!